Hello friends, welcome back. It is September, if you can believe that, and first frost is not very far away. We're on the countdown for the garden. To get on here and share the 2024 season with you, I want to bring you along today as I'm harvesting for the farm stand and show you things that went well this year. There's some things that didn't go so well, and I've learned a lot, and I'm making notes for next year. Let's go. Okay, so we are gonna start out in the high tunnel this year. We put up a 16 by 25 foot high tunnel from Farmer's Friend. It's a Gothic style tunnel, so it can stand up to our snow loads. I also got the more sturdy bow size. I also got the lift kit so that it's a little bit taller than the standard Farmer's Friend tunnel. And the reason I did that is because this year I wanted to try my hand at vertical string trellising my tomatoes and my cucumbers, and it worked really well. I'm really happy with the string trellising. In my high tunnel right now, I have some leftover broccoli from the springtime. The plan was to pull it out and put peppers in there, but it is still moving right along. Now this variety of broccoli from Johnny's, I can't remember the name of it, but the idea is it doesn't make the big tight heads. It actually puts off lots of little side shoots, more like the broccolini, which actually we have really enjoyed that. What happens here in Montana is we have cold, wet springs, and then our summers get really dry and really hot, and broccoli just bolts. It goes to flower and it doesn't make the nice tight heads. So I wanted to try something different, and we really have enjoyed it. So I have left the broccoli in here longer than I normally would, and it keeps making side shoots. So I've been really impressed with that. I've got some overgrown kale and chard in the back corner that I honestly should pull out, and I should get some fall crops going. And the kale I'll probably leave because as long as I keep it harvested, it'll grow right up to our frost date or even beyond. Sweet peppers that got put in really late because I was so into the broccoli that I had in that spot and had planned to pull that out, succession plant peppers, and I just hated to pull out the broccoli because it was doing so good. So sweet peppers got put in late, but they're coming right along. All right, so with any luck, we will get a few sweet lunchbox peppers, but I'm not holding my breath. Here's that broccoli, and there are some flowers here, but as you can see, it's still putting off just these prolific side shoots, and I come out like every other day and pick them off, and we just have these beautiful tender broccoli florets. They're so good. I'm just really impressed and would probably grow this again next year. I'll go ahead and look up the variety and put it on the screen for you, but again, this is just really well in our hot, dry climate. Yeah, I just have been really impressed, and I actually planted some of this in the outside market style garden rows. I've got some cilantro that's going to seed. I really need to cut this back and replant. Chard is getting out of control, and honestly, we didn't eat very much of it. We've kind of decided we're not chard fans, so I probably won't plant that next year. The kale, I need to cut back, and it'll do well through fall and even through frost most likely. So I'll show you more detail of my tomatoes that I string trellis this year in my high tunnel. I did pay for the lift kit from Farmer's Friend, and I'll link Farmer's Friend. I'm not an affiliate, but they have excellent products, so I'll go ahead and link them and link the tunnel that I have here in case you're interested. Again, it's a 25 foot by 16 foot tunnel. The first 10 feet I have in weed tarp is kind of a work storage area, and then the last 15 feet I did in-ground rows. Here are my tomatoes and that string trellis system. I've been really happy with this. Aggressively pruned the suckers off these tomatoes just to keep a single leader, a single stalk on the tomatoes. I pick off that sucker that grows in the Y of these tomatoes. So again, here's another tomato sucker. These are getting to where they need some attention as well. And the reason you do this in a tunnel is just to keep the tomatoes under control. They're planted really close together. These plants are only 1 foot apart, kind of staggered to give them extra room. But because they're so close together, I really can't let them get wild and bushy. And with indeterminate tomatoes, they'll continue to grow really tall and produce fruit all along the stem. But the extra branching leaves aren't really necessary, and they can just take up a lot of energy for the plant. I have found that my fruit yield has actually increased with this method. Now, I will tell you that we had a really cold, wet, weird spring, and I did get my tomatoes in the ground a little bit late. And in talking to everyone else around here, it seems like the plants just kind of sat there and didn't do a whole lot for a while. And so they're a little bit behind. Now I have lots of beautiful fruit, but things are taking a while to ripen. So let's go ahead and look at the tomatoes. Here's a really good visual of the string trellis. This plant has been very aggressively pruned. I may have overly pruned some of these, but again, I just didn't have a whole lot of room. But as you can see, the fruit looks really, really nice. This is just kind of a slicer tomato that I have grown the last 4 years. I saved seeds from the local school. So at this point, oh, there's a sucker. At this point, I've kind of made my own variety of tomato, I would say, because it was probably a hybrid and I've just saved seeds and replanted year after year, and it does super well. So all my seeds this year I got from Johnny's. As I go along and show you these plants, I'll go ahead and put the variety that I grew on the screen. So in case you're interested in growing these as well, you can do that. But this is a hybrid paste tomato, kind of like a I guess it is a San Marzano. I thought it was a different variety, but these are just starting to ripen. So fingers crossed we can get lots of paste tomatoes. I did put in some mushroom spores early this spring, so I'm getting some little mushrooms. I have wine cap mushroom spores in here in this tunnel, and hopefully we'll get some fungal colonization in here to feed the soil. This is a greenhouse hybrid called Ruby Dawn, and I'm really happy with how these plants look. So these Ruby Dawn tomatoes, they're a slicer tomato, but they also have a thicker flesh, so they're a good multi-purpose for sauce and slicing. Look at those fruits. They're so pretty and big. You know, I really could bring them inside and let them ripen, and I may end up doing that, but here in the tunnel, we will have a little bit of season extension, so I'm gonna give them a little bit more time. This on the end is a brandy wine that I got from a friend. It doesn't look like a brandy wine to me though. I wonder if it was mislabeled. It looks more like some sort of paste tomato. I have one outside. I think she gave me 2, and it does look like a brandy wine. Interplanted at the bottom, I have marigolds just to help keep bugs down. And I also have basil planted at the base of the tomatoes. So you can see how tall these tomatoes get with the string trellis. I start the string at the bottom, twist it around the stem, and up we go. And I keep the bottom 2 feet really trimmed up. This helps with airflow, and also it keeps leaves dry. Wet leaves can really be a breeding ground for disease. So keeping the tomatoes pruned up, trimmed up really helps with pest. Now next year I hope to get my tomatoes in the ground a lot earlier. New to gardening and starting your garden for the very first time, or if you're an avid gardener looking for more information about starting your own seeds, the newest online Learn from Home course will be perfect for you. It's called Let's Start a Garden Seed Starting 101. Maybe you have some gardening knowledge, but you want to dial in those skills. Maybe you need to feel more organized and have a better plan to get started earlier in the season. Perhaps you're the beginner gardener looking to learn how to get started. Any victory gardeners out there? I will share with you all of the basics to start your garden. You can take it as far as you want to go. Those of you with a small space, no problem. This totally can apply to you. If you have a limited budget, if you live in the city, large garden, small garden, does not matter. What will you learn in this course? You will learn how to start and keep your very own gardening journal. In fact, I will have an instant download for you so you make it even easier to get a jump start on your garden journal. You will learn how to choose the vegetables that you want to plant based on your location, varieties, and your preferences. You will learn the different options of where to purchase your garden seeds, how to keep your seeds and your packets organized, how to determine your gardening zone and first and last frost dates, heirloom, hybrid, organic, conventional, GMO. What does this all mean? Learn what to start indoors and what to direct sow outdoors, how to set up a simple germination area in your house, tips and tricks for successful germination, how and when to start seeds indoors, the different container and soil options, ideas for seedling grow racks from simple to DIY, thrifty to more complex. You will learn how to care for your seedlings and when to transplant those seedlings outdoors. What you get with the purchase of this e-course, you'll get my Let's Start a Garden Seed Starting 101 book included with this course, an instant download, save it on your device, you can print it, you can have it bound, or even put it in your own binder or folder and keep that for a handy reference. You'll get an instant downloadable garden journal, and I will walk you through what is helpful to include and save year after year. The course will also include direct links to basic, very affordable supplies and also resources that are extremely handy as you begin and get going on your gardening and seed starting journey. Fill out a plan of what you want to plant. I'll demonstrate how to sketch out a garden, your planning lists, and demonstrate how you can start your own seeds at home early so you're ready to hit it as soon as that last frost date happens. There will be a lot more included in this course, and I cannot wait to get started with you. Head on over to mtwildrootsco.com, out our list of e-courses. Sign up for How to Start a Garden Seed Starting 101 e-course today. Let's move on to the next row here in the high tunnel. This is mostly cucumbers. I have a pickling and a snacking variety, so I'll go ahead and put the varieties on the screen. The seed is from Johnny's. I started all my own plants this year. I actually put them in with my microgreens. The cucumbers have the main stem, and then at each growth node, so here's an example of one that's been pruned, there will be a sun leaf, okay? And then there will be a little tendril. This little sticky Velcro-like tendril will reach out and grab onto the string or other plants to help them grow along the ground or help them trellis up. And then you will have a sucker. So let me see if I can find an example of where I haven't trimmed. Okay, here's an example. So here at this growth node, you can see that there is a sun leaf. This is the solar panel for the cucumber, so I want to leave that. Then I have the tendril that helps it hold on and grow vertically or grow out, just kind of grab on and vine out. Then I have this sucker here, and the sucker will produce fruit, but it will take away a lot of energy from the plant. And if you keep those trimmed off, the plant will put a lot of its energy into the main stem fruits, and you really don't need the suckers. I mean, look at these cucumbers. I just have had prolific amount of cucumbers, and I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, maybe 16 plants in here. About half of them are these English style snacking cucumbers, and the other half are pickling. And I have made many quarts of pickles already. We've eaten lots of cucumbers. In fact, this harvest will probably go to a friend because I have even more cucumbers in my refrigerator that need dealt with. I just don't know that I'm gonna have time to get these put up this week. But they need to be picked because some of them are getting quite large. But I learned this year, if you let a fruit get big and yellow and overgrown on a vine, it will actually tell the cucumber vine that it needs to go to seed. And so it will begin to die. If you have a cucumber plant that's looking bad and all the rest look good, it is likely that somewhere on the plant you have a overripe and overgrown fruit. And when you miss even one, it will kill the plant. So this vertical growing and pruning of the cucumbers Again, I prune up about 2 feet really aggressively so that there's good airflow and you can see the ground. And this really helps you see the fruit. You know, cucumbers, when they vine out all over the ground, it's really hard to harvest and to find the fruits. Whereas when they're vertically grown, they're right at eye level and really easy to harvest. Now these plants are getting so tall that I need a step stool to get to them. So we're gonna do that in a minute, and we're gonna cut all these cucumbers because the more you harvest, the more they'll continue to grow. Now, I train my cucumbers up on this string to a single leader, but when it reaches the top of my trellis line, I'm going to allow 1 extra sucker to grow. So I'm gonna have my main stem and I'm gonna have 1 sucker, and then I'm gonna let them kind of trail back down over the top of my trellis, creating kind of an umbrella. It's called umbrella trellising actually, and it will create kind of an umbrella of cucumbers that again will cascade back down all along that main stem, all along that extra sucker, and just the umbrella trellising is just the way to go. Let me show you one more row in here, and then we'll harvest some cucumbers. I've got some jalapeno, well, they're not jalapeno poppers yet, but my jalapenos are getting huge and they will be turned into a wonderful vessel for cheese and bacony smoked goodness to get into my mouth. So soon they will be jalapeno poppers, but let's look at the jalapenos. All right, so this is row 4 in the tunnel. And right now I have jalapeno peppers planted all along here. I plan to make some cowboy candy, and I also love jalapeno poppers on the smoker. I do have all my jalapenos underplanted with lettuces. These just went in a couple weeks ago. I started them in trays and transplanted them. Early spring, I had beautiful heads of lettuce here, and I cropped those out and put in the peppers to follow. And I wasn't too late on these, so I think they're gonna be okay. I could have gotten a lot more out of this pepper row, but it's okay. I'm happy with what we've got. Oh, I wanted to point out that in succession planting, I went ahead and popped in some fall crops, some broccoli at the base of these cucumber plants. And I also, don't know if my spinach is coming up yet, but I also put in some spinach along my drip lines and a lettuce mix. Oh yeah, there's my lettuce mix. So it's coming up. I had lots of green onions that I started really early, even before the cucumbers went in. And I've pretty much cropped all my green onions out. They take a long time to grow, so I started those, gosh, back in March. And then I transplanted them in here. And I've had green onions for me and the farm stand all season, but they're about done. One of my big goals this year was to be a lot better about succession planting while I was learning about tunnel growing, and my tender gardener heart kind of got to me a couple times when I should have pulled out some crops and started some other things earlier, like the peppers. I let my lettuces stay in here too long because they're just so pretty and I just wasn't ready to pull them out, but I should have and put my peppers in earlier, but that's okay. Okay, let's harvest cucumbers and jalapenos. Oh boy, that's a big one. Let's get in. Holy moly, it's hot in here. I should have started earlier. Oh no. Okay, here's a perfect example. Okay, look at this. Beautiful and green and lush these cucumbers are. We get to the end of the row and I have this really puny yellow looking plant. And I'm like, what the heck? It just looks bad. Lo and behold, so see this leaf here that I didn't prune off from the bottom? Yeah. Look at that. Ugly yellow cucumber. Look what's happening. It's killing off this plant. Now I'm gonna pick off this fruit and hopefully the plant will perk up. But again, if you let a cucumber stay on here, the plant thinks that it needs to go to seed to produce the next generation. So it wants to die and drop its fruit so that it can grow a new plant. Darn it. When you're trellising, I just wanted to mention that you can either twist the string around the stem. Look at this cute little tendril. He's so cute. Hanging on for dear life. Move, leaf. Okay, okay. I also have these plastic clips for string trellising. They work really well. You clip them around the string, around the main stem, and they lock in place, and they're removable as well. So that's a pretty great way to train them up. And when they start getting really tall and heavy, I have found that you actually really need those clips. Okay, so I need to get a step stool and get those guys at the top and do some pruning. It's hot. Guys, these cucumbers. Oh. I have even more cucumbers in the outside garden. They're not doing as well. They really like it here in the tunnel, but lots of cucumbers, so that's exciting. Don't mind my glistening glow. A few shallots drying. I have a lot more outside. These are going to the farm stand today, so we'll get those ready together, but jalapenos first. All right, I grabbed the jalapenos. There's quite a few more small ones on there, but I'm gonna let them get a little bit bigger. In addition to the high tunnel this year, we also planted in an outdoor market style garden. I call it the market garden, not just because plants go to market, although I've taken a few things to the farm stand every week. I call it the market garden because it's put together in more traditional market style rows. It's a little more neat and tidy, and it's outdoor, which has its pros and cons. You know, we're zone 6 Montana, and weather is just weird and unpredictable. I mean, in August, we had 38-degree night one night, and I had to cover my outdoor tomatoes and my cucumbers because I just didn't know. So it can just be weird, and that's why the high tunnel is nice, because you have a little bit more predictable growing space. The high tunnel isn't like a greenhouse, but it does help with season extension and also that crop protection. And I have noticed it also helps with pests. I don't get as many pests in the tunnel. Maybe it's just harder for them to get in through the plastic. I do have doors open sometimes, but love the high tunnel. Let's look at the market garden. All right, I'm just gonna give you a quick row by row here, and then we'll do some harvesting. So row 1, I did peas, and they just did really bad. You know, I have some fruits now, but early spring, the seed just sat in the ground, and as I said, it was cold and wet. Seed just rotted, and they really didn't germinate well. Now they're kind of perking up, and we have some more peas coming on, so it's kind of strange. I usually replant in the fall, and I did a little bit, but I don't know, I was just kind of over it. On this side, we did a few squashes. My daughter did cinnamon bear pumpkins, and we also did patty pan squash. There's a few in there. Okay, here's another look at row 1. Maybe this is a better view. Row 2, we did Patterson sweet storage onions, and we also interplanted some lettuces, and they are going to seed big time, and I just have left them because the butterflies and pollinators, and they're really pretty, so they need to be pulled out and fed to the chickens, but alas, you know, August garden. I have a few shallots at the end of the onion row. Row 3, I have more onions, carrots, zucchini. I actually have zucchini at the end of each row, which is too much. Zucchini is out of hand. I try to pick them young and small because they're more controllable, but I planted too much zucchini. I have Brussels sprouts here, and there is a bug getting to them, but I think the fruits themselves will be okay. They just take forever. And so, you know, hopefully by the end of September, we'll have some Brussels sprouts. I have broccoli halfway through this row, more of that broccoli that's the broccolini type. I am trying some celery this year, and my daughter put in some experimental carrots at the end of this row. This is our green bean row. We've picked loads and loads of green beans. My vining green beans were hit and miss. Again, the seed just didn't germinate super well. So yeah, I don't know. We've still picked lots of green beans, mostly from the bush beans, but we love green beans. Hopefully I can do a canning project with you guys soon. So that was row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the beans. Row 6, this is more cucumber. Again, I did the string trellising method, and they're doing okay. They're showing some signs of heat stress, and going from cold to hot temps back and forth is just, it's just weird season. So the cucumbers are doing well. I am getting quite a few pickling cubes off of these, but not as much as in the tunnel. I may not even do cucumbers outside next year. I'm not sure. I'll have to think about that. So this is 7. Our 7th row is all tomatoes. Mostly paste tomatoes. There's a few slicers and a few cherry and sun gold tomatoes mixed in. They are also string trellised, and they're doing okay. They grew the tomatoes outside were really strange. I don't know, it's hard to explain. They grew really thick, clumpy leaves, and I didn't do a soil test out here. I'm not sure if I have some sort of a nutrient off, but they just grew really tight, and even though I pruned them really heavily, they just grew really, really tight and kind of congested. There's lots of fruit. Again, it's taking them a while to ripen. I mean, I love the string trellis method. It's just the plants were really, really sparse in the beginning, and then the leaves just got really thick and dense. I don't know, it's weird. I do have space next year. I have my silage tarp down that I could do maybe 3 more market rows and add on, or I could do one big patch. I'm thinking of doing one large like pumpkin patch and putting down cardboard with some nice compost, and then weed tarp this whole area and do a pumpkin patch, which I thought would be really fun. The pumpkin patch on this end, there really just wasn't enough room for things to vine out and grow, and I think this would be a really good spot. So I'm thinking about that. Drop comments what you would do if you'd put in more market rows or do a pumpkin patch. All right, this little garden patch is strawberries and then also some raised bed carrots. Decided to put strawberries in here, and they were bare root this spring, again, from Johnny's. I got their whole season selection where you can get the 3 different varieties to keep you in strawberries all season long. So I really wasn't expecting much fruit this year. They did really good, and they're throwing off runners like crazy, so I've been transplanting the runners, and they're just doing really good. Now we had space to put in random extra plants that I had. So I had some extra zucchini, I had some cabbages, I have a granddaddy kale that we're harvesting off of, and it just keeps producing. Kind of love it. It's kind of my favorite spot. Okay, I lied. This is my favorite spot. This is our little flower bed that I put in last minute, kind of impromptu. I did have all these zinnias started and thought I would just tuck them in here and there, but then we had this little patch of ground that our compost pile was in, and we moved the compost pile. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna spread it out with the tractor, put down some weed tarp, burn some holes in the weed tarp, and put in some different flowers. So we have zinnias in here. We also have some snapdragons. Again, those got in late, but they're doing really well now. Calendula here at the end, some calendula, and then some sunflower. I have no idea how cucumbers got over here. There is some dianthus and more calendula coming up and a sunflower. So my daughter helped plant that area, so it's a little random, but you know, that's okay. Okay, on the far side of the garden, this is going to be more of the orchard type area. I wanted to plant some trees, fruit bushes. I did a crimson clover cover crop as well as a field pea. I think it was is it an Australian field pea? To kind of feed the soil, and as you can see there's knapweed in here, and I was hoping to keep most of that down. It's starting to die back, but the pea and the clover will be a natural green compost and hopefully feed the soil so we can plant more trees in here next year. We did put in some blueberries. Now they're looking pretty rough right now. I don't know if they have some sort of a rust or a fungus. This one's looking pretty good. I did spray them with a copper fungicide, and I don't know, they're just not looking great. These were bare root blueberries from Johnny's, these last three, and they're coming along. You know, we got maybe a handful of blueberries this year, so hopefully next year they'll look better. The raspberries from Johnny's, this was also a full season pack, a 3 variety pack that I'll link on the screen, and they just really came up well. We even got a few berries that I wasn't expecting. So this is a fun little patch that I hope to fill in and be very prolific and big and lots of fruit. We also did some sunflowers because why not? Forgot to bring you all out here to my kitchen garden. This is where it's all started, so it'd be a shame not to mention it. I have, as you might remember, my herbs out here. I have bee balm, lemon balm, St. John's wort, oregano, thyme, mint. It's all gone crazy. I need to harvest some and start drying herbs for winter. So maybe that'll be a project on here with you as well. As you walk in, I have my scarlet runner beans over my cattle panel trellis. I just love the way they cover this, and the bright orange flowers are edible, so that's a bonus for me because I do sell edible flowers as part of my microgreen business. I underplanted some gorgeous sunflowers, and then on either side in these small 4x4 raised bed. In this bed here, I have an assortment of herbs: rosemary, sage, thyme, basil, cilantro. My little greenhouse, I use it mostly for edible flowers and plant starts. It's looking a little rough right now. Carrots and some spinach in this bed. And I really need, oh look you guys, hey, I put wine cap mushroom spores in here early in the spring all over, and that is what this is. So I bought some mushroom spores, and it's really colonized back here. Cool. Boy, there's lots of weeds. I really need to put down more cardboard and wood chips. So wine caps spawn all back here in the wood chips as well, but that's the first big wine caps that I've seen. Pretty cool. I'll put a link to where I got my mushroom spawn. I bought morel and wine cap mushroom spawn from North Spore. That is very exciting. You can see things are a little overgrown back here. I really didn't do as much back here as I did in my main garden this year, but it's wild, it's beautiful, and it's still producing lots of food for us.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights.
I forgot to show you the granddaddy parsley plant that's growing in here under the cucumbers. This I planted last summer, and even though we had negative 35 degrees, it overwintered and it's just prolific. I'm gonna harvest some of this for the farm stand, but it's a beauty. And the more I cut and harvest, the more it grows. Together some parsley bundles, and also I did these rosemary, sage, and thyme packets. I think they turned out pretty cute. It's a great combo for fall. I'd love to do a lot more of this type of thing next year, but goals, so.
Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings.
All right, so next season, 100% tomatoes, cucumbers in the tunnel. The string trellis, the way to go. Tomatoes will go in the ground earlier. Peppers in the ground earlier. Lettuces I'm going to do early on and probably just cut those completely because they get bitter and just go right to bolt in the summer. I may try some shade cloth, maybe some low tunnel and shade cloth. Carrots just did beautiful. I really did a heavy phosphorus fertilizer after they grew about 4 inches. Tomatoes outside, so-so. I'm going to give it a go again. Probably won't do cucumbers outside again. The broccoli variety, yes. Not sure I'll do head broccoli again. Cabbages did well. Peas, so-so, but that, again, I attribute that mostly to our strange spring that we had. Onions, I probably won't plant as many onions. I did a lot this year just to see how they would do and how they would do in the farm stand. I had noticed that they didn't really have shallots, and she's always needing storage onions. So I really wanted to give that a go, but you know, they take all season long. They're long growers, and I don't like to fill up that much real estate for that long, so I'll have to think about the onions. Green beans, yes, I might try some different varieties next year. The bush beans turned out great. Some of the vining beans just didn't germinate well. But overall, I mean, green beans is one of our favorites, so we got to put those in. Strawberries, looking forward to that. Our berry bushes, really hopeful and happy about all that. So, thanks for being here today. Thanks for coming along for the 2024 garden tour. Hopefully you learned a few things. Let's just start a little feed in the comments of our favorite vegetables, favorite varieties to go. Let me know what zone you're in, where you're growing. Just say hello. I'd love to hear from you. See you next week. Bye, friends. We have cold, wet. All right, so I have these beautiful green. Whoa, hello. What's wrong?